What is one memory that never fails to make you smile every time you think about it? Back in college, I was eating at Chipotle with my friend Anthony, who is typically a pretty suave guy. As we were talking, he was alternating between taking sips of his beer and dumping Tabasco on his burrito before taking a bite. He gets lost in our conversation and I see him grab the Tabasco and start bringing it to his lips, before catching himself and grabbing his beer instead. Then I see him do it again, getting even closer to his mouth this time before realizing his mistake. He laughs it off. Another minute goes by and, exceeding all expectations, he grabs his beer and pours it into his burrito. When my friend got hit in the face with a piece of broccoli at a hibachi restaurant. Not to shit on everyone's beautiful stories on this thread, but there's something really hilarious about this slapstick moment. It's like my firstborn's first steps, my wedding, my dog's puppies, quote, and then, hee broccoli face. When my daughter was little, she literally could not stop talking. She has ADHD and that's just one of the effects. One day, we were walking by an abandoned lot. Looked like an old gas station or something. My daughter looked at it and said, "Wow, that's a beautiful yard," quote. I said, "That's a lot." She said, "Yeah, a lot of beautiful yard," quote. I've told this story on here before, but I used to work for a landscaping company cutting grass in industrial parks. One day I was cutting a huge piece of lawn after a light rain, and stirred up a bunch of bugs. Some swallows must have noticed and went on a sort of feeding frenzy all around me for like 1/2 hour. I would be riding along and a bird would swoop what felt like inches from my head, and then spiral all around to catch more bugs. After watching them for a minute or so, I knew they wouldn't crash into me. So it was like being given a private air show. They called you the Swallow Man. My brother and I went to the dollar store one day and went through every aisle and put anything in the cart that we thought was cool. We kinda messed around and ended up putting away 80% of it. But I don't hang out one-on-one with him much, so it made me happy. Just ask him to go out for some beers or food and tell him you miss hanging around as brothers. Brothers will make an effort to make that happen. The last time I saw my great-grandma Claudine, she was 98 and had horrible dementia. She didn't recognize my grandmother, her daughter, and it was honestly very sad. We were going to her house because my papa, her husband, died and we needed to go to his funeral. Before we left, we got a car wash and one of the guys there gave us a red carnation. It was a weird promotion or something, I think. But after a 10+ hour drive, we made it to her house. I rushed inside and overheard my grandma begging my great-grandma to remember her, because my grandma had recently been diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. She kicked its ass and beat it. I gave her a second and knocked, then walked in. The very first thing my great-grandma said when she saw me was, "Is that my beautiful my name?" I nearly cried just from that. My grandma was super happy she remembered me, but sad she didn't remember her, and decided I should spend time with her alone. She went off to go get some food, I think, but I don't really know. So it was just me and my grandma. We chatted for a while and the inevitable question finally came up. Me. Who was that woman in here earlier? Quote. That's your daughter. Grandma. Oh really? Why does her hair look so weird? Quote. Oh, it's a wig. She is bald now. I couldn't bring myself to tell her daughter had cancer. Even thought she wouldn't remember. She giggled a bit, then attempted to pull me in, and said, "I'm gonna steal her wig." I laughed. She couldn't walk or lift her own arms on her own, let alone snatch a wig right off of my grandmother's head. After about an hour my tummy started to grumble, so I called my grandma back and then went to the kitchen for some potatoes. After maybe 5 minutes I heard my grandma scream as I was afraid my great-grandma finally had died and rushed in. But it wasn't that at all. My great-grandma did it. She ripped the wig right off of my grandma's head. She told her to come close to whisper a secret and with all her might snatched it. She went on to love in a care home and got into many more antics, and would call once a week begging me to steal her away and start a traveling band. Edit. Holy crap, wow. I went to sleep and woke up with all of these amazing messages and awards. Thank you all so much for enjoying. What a great memory. I screamed when she snatched your grandma's wig. All 4 of my grandparents passed before I could introduce my husband to them, and that always makes me feel sad. We use my granny's candlestick for Shabbos every Friday, and I like to think she'd be delighted to hear that. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.